What's going on? It's your boy Trentonius Maximus coming at you today with the No Cap Recap Small Business Shoutout segment. I forgot to record this part of the video, so now I'm coming to you live from a field at my house. As no surprise to anybody, the small business I'm going to shout out today is Don Jose's Pizza. That's Don Jose's Pizza in Haleyville, Alabama, right there next to the Alabama Power Building. The phone number is 205-485-9552. They got the best pizza around, if you ask me. This is a big old bush here behind me. It grows blueberries, but I ain't done that in a long time. Last time I went to Don Jose's Pizza, I got the Montana pizza, and it has onions and peppers and rice and steak in it and a few other things I can't remember. But the pizza is confirmed busting by yours truly. I've had a few different pizzas. My favorite from there is their veggie pizza with the white Alfredo sauce. It's very good. It tastes like you ever playing a Sonic the Hedgehog on a Sega Genesis, and you finish a level and then like that big ring appears and you go through it, and then you go through this crazy trippy level, and then there's a freaking Chaos Emerald there at the end. That feeling when you get that Chaos Emerald, that's what that pizza tastes like. It's very good. So that's Don Jose's Pizza, 205-485-9552. Have a good one. Howdy you dukes, it's your boy Trentonius Maximus coming at you once again with the first No Cap Recapums of the year 2024. I said in the last No Cap Recap that I was going to do a recap of the year 2023. I'm not going to do that, and the reason for that is because January 2024 has been bat-fuck insane. Now I'm going to start off into 2023 starting in like late December because there were a couple stories that I had missed. So I'm going to run back through and grab them up real quick before I get into January 2024. So since we play and catch up, let's not piss around no more. Let's get into it. Starting her off, December 22nd, 2023, founding member of the Dixie Chicks, Laura Lynch, died in a car accident. Head-on car crash. She dead now. She's not one of the members that you probably know. By the time that Dixie Chicks had gotten popular, she had done left the group, so she's not in any of the songs that got wildly popular in the late 90s, early 2000s or anything. But she did pass away. Apparently she was a very good street performer of music, so it's very tragic. I'd like to point out that that is the second time that we here at Cornhole Videos had prophesized death of a musician. If we go back to the Christmas Guide video, I think we called it the Christmas Guide or something to that effect, we used George Michael's Last Christmas, and that was the very Christmas that George Michael had died. And we had never really mentioned Wham or George Michael or anything before then, but he died shortly thereafter. And then if you go back to the new radio video, we mentioned Cowboy Take Me Away by the Dixie Chicks. We actually used that song. We got a copyright claim and everything. We used it in that video. And lo and behold, one of the Dixie Chicks members has passed away. So we're going on 2 for prophesizing death here at Cornhole Videos. So hey, let's go for 3, I guess. On Christmas Eve, that'd be December 24th, Eliza Rios, a hit-and-run suspect over in California, I believe, he got into a wreck, fled the scene, ran off to a construction site, and they were chasing him around with thermal imaging cameras and stuff on the helicopter, and they caught him on the ground there making phone calls, but also making dirt angels. He was just sitting there making these snow angels there in the dirt because they don't get no snow out in that part of the world, and yeah, he's just having him a good old time. They ended up arresting him, so now he can make prison soap angels, I suppose. December 27th, 2023, a bit of somber firearms news. Gaston Glock, guess what he invented? He passed away at the age of 94. And that's pretty damn, that's tragic, but that man is old as shit. He invented the Glock 17, Glock 19, so forth. If it's a Glock, he invented it. He's a hoss. He definitely created, inarguably, the biggest firearms empire on earth, at least in my opinion. Every police officer, and probably the majority of you watching this, have seen or perhaps even own or know somebody who owns a Glock. I don't own a Glock. I have in the past. Glocks aren't for me personally, but you can't deny that they are utterly reliable. Great design. There's a reason why all the cops use them. There's a reason why everybody uses a Glock, with the exception of the military. That's just because a Glock can't produce them cheap enough for the military to purchase them. But Glock, good pistol. Rather, if you think Glock sucks and you think they're unreliable and Tupperware, I mean, you are just in denial. I mean, I get that you don't like that it breaks from tradition using polymer parts, but if you think that it's actually a bad gun, you're just kind of stupid. Interesting thing about Gaston Glock is that one of his business partners in the past made an attempt to murder him, have him assassinated. He paid some French dude to come find him in Austria, and the dude attacked him with a rubber mallet. I don't know why you wouldn't use a steel one, but whatever. But I think they were trying to make it look like an accident or something, but he tried to beat him down with a rubber mallet, and then Gaston Glock just kind of overpowered him and fought him. Now, the would-be assassin and his business partner were in jail forever, so that's pretty cool. Moving on. Also, on that day, Dave Chappelle was doing a comedy show somewhere. I didn't look into it that far, but during the show, he saw one of the people at his show on their phone, like using their cell phone, and he got real mad about that and stormed off the stage. And I suppose that's however he wants to feel about it. I think that that's a bit of an overreaction, but he stormed off the stage and the show was over. The only problem is that the tickets to this show were $100 a pop, and everybody didn't get their Dave Chappelle show. So that really sucks, actually. The first thing that happened in January of 2024, January 1st, 2024, Alabama took that L to Michigan, 20-27. So that means that there is no Swamp John plate for Alabama. There ended up not being no Swamp John plate for Alabama. I think Michigan ended up winning it all. So that's good for them. Sucks for Alabama, no Swamp John plates, but that's not the worst Alabama news that happens this month, so stay tuned. Also on January 1st, police found the remains of a man inside of an RV on his property. And, you know, that's sad and tragic and kind of gross, but that's not the crazy part about it. The crazy part of it is that his wife's remains were also found in the RV. The only issue is that his wife's remains had been there for like 6 years. And that's pretty crazy, but the reason for it isn't hardly as insane. The fact of the matter is they wanted to be buried together. So he just held on to her remains until he died. And I guess mission accomplished, which is bizarre, but frankly, kind of wholesome, all things considered. So it's not really that far-fetched to do something like that. It's kind of sweet if you really take a step back and look at it. On January 2nd, at Haneda Airport in Tokyo, Japan, two planes collided. They just collode right there in the air, old barrel roast. And they just crashed into each other. I think 5 people died and something to the tune of like 14 other people were injured. That's pretty damn crazy. That's Breaking Bad level news, but what's weird about it is that some comedian on some podcast, if I find it, I'll put something here on the screen about it, but I don't think there's anything that I could find when I looked. But this guy was on that podcast January 1st, just the day prior, and he was just sitting there and they were just shooting the shit, saying stuff, making 2024 predictions, and this guy said, I think that 2 planes are going to collide into each other. And lo and behold, it happened less than 24 hours later. So that's pretty fucking insane, actually. January 3rd, a bit of good news from the soda industry. I find this actually to be really good news. But Mountain Dew hitting us with an announcement again, and they have announced that they are going to sell Baja Blast all year outside of Taco Bell, not just in the summer like they do sometimes. And the reason for that is as follows. 2024 marks the 20th anniversary of the flavor Mountain Dew Baja Blast. That's pretty wild. I didn't actually get to have my first Baja Blast until I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. That's when I first started to take an interest in Taco Bell, and I saw the flavor and I'm like, that must be new. And this was several years past 2004, but I tasted it, and well, the rest is history. Who doesn't like Baja Blast? It ain't Taco Bell without your Baja Blast, god dang it. Now you can just get it in cans and bottles all year round outside of Taco Bell, so ain't too bad. Pretty good news, honestly. I can't believe that much time has passed. It's kind of freaky. Also, on that day, the first meme of the year was born in a court case involving Diabra Redden. I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing that right. He stood in front of Judge Mary Kay somewhere in the country, but he had gotten some kind of domestic violence or whatever charge, and it was his case, and he was standing there in front of the podium, and he was like, hey, I think I deserve a second chance to turn my life around. And it's important to note that he has been in jail for this kind of thing on multiple occasions, and the judge was like, nah, man, you keep doing things like this, we're going to let one stick and see if you learn your lesson. She's in the midst of reading off his sentencing, and then Mr. Deobra Redden, in I would imagine, a chance to turn his life around from domestic violence, got over his podium and literally just like leapt over the judge's podium and tackled the female judge, Mary Kay, hit her a few times, hit the bailiff and another court assistant before he was finally taken down. And that's pretty dang telling of the type of person he is. So he in jail for even more shit now, and I reckon everybody else is okay. I mean, getting beat up by a dude definitely will put some marks on you, but generally speaking, everybody else is fine. So there have been lots of memes about that this year so far. So that's what happened on January the 3rd. January 5th, the second big meme of the year was born, at least for Alabamians, at the Bass Pro Shop somewhere around Birmingham. I forget the name of the actual town, but this guy crashed his car in the parking lot of the Bass Pro Shops, proceeded to run inside, stripped naked, then cannonball into the Bass Pro Shop fish aquarium. By this time, the cops had shown up, and they're like, what the fuck? He was in there yelling at the cops how he was going to fuck their wives or something to that effect. And then he crawled out of the glass part of the aquarium, slipped and fell and knocked himself out on the concrete, at which point the cops came and grabbed him and just drug him out, wiener to the dirt, to the floor, and just his ass out the door. I think he proceeded to resist arrest more, as a surprise to nobody, but that happened. I never got any context on that, but it happened. I'd love to know what happened. I'm sure it's out there, but frankly, I didn't look. So there you are. Also on January 5th, a 13-year-old kid beat Tetris, like the original Tetris. He beat the game, or at least as far as beating the game can be. Much like the original Pac-Man, Tetris isn't really made to have any kind of ending. But what he did was keep playing until his score was 9s all the way across and it could count no more. So that is beating the game as far as anybody is concerned. And he is the first human to do it. There have been plenty of computers that have been programmed to play Tetris and have beaten the game. But he's a 13-year-old kid, and he did it. And that is actually incredibly impressive, seeing as I'm shit at Tetris, never was any good at it. But this kid is on par with a machine at playing it. And then, on a side note, some stupid-ass talk show host or something called this kid a loser because of that. God forbid anybody have a hobby. Bear with me, I'm going to have the Kitty Beans phone out for this one because I got to read a list. But January 6th was a day that we thought would never come. Happened starting January 6th, and there were a couple other dates following it. But on January 6th, some Epstein case files were released involving some famous people. So we found out some people who were on the island and very obviously had done some kiddling bediddling on there. We got a little list, at least some of the bigger names that were on there, so bear with me, it's kind of nuts. If I know who somebody is, I'll call it out, and it's going to be kind of funny because I don't know my celebrities really well. I don't really give a rip about that kind of stuff, but I'll, kind of call them out. Don't mind me, this is just a 16-gauge shell. That's coming up. Starting off, we got Kate Blanchett, Naomi Campbell, David Copperfield. Apparently he was some kind of magician that was very popular in the 90s. Cameron Diaz. That sounds familiar, but I don't really know who that is. I know the name, can't put a face to it. Leonardo DiCaprio. We was talking about him the other month where that lady had her hand down his britches and he was just getting that prostate going for him. Yeah, he was down there getting that from some minors, apparently. This one's pretty insane. Stephen Hawking was down there, and according to court files, these are court files that have been sealed for several years, allegedly what happened is Stephen Hawking went down there, and what he wanted was some midgets to, I would presumably be naked, I guess. He wanted some midgets to try to figure out a mathematical equation on a dry erase board that was too big for them. So I guess he was going to get off on them struggling how to do that. It's kind of old knowledge that Stephen Hawking's a piece of shit. I think he cheated on his wife a whole lot before he got completely, fucking... You have selected Microsoft Sam as your computer's default voice. Yeah, apparently that happened, so that is, while not funny, is one of the funniest things I have ever heard in my life, if it's true, and I got a feeling it's true. Moving down the list, we got Michael Jackson, no surprise there. Kevin Spacey, no surprise there. Bruce Willis. Brucey boy, do you really have dementia? Because you just went nonverbal and now you show up on the Epstein list. It seems like a pretty convenient time to go nonverbal. Do you really have dementia, Bruce? Then the last couple we got is Oprah Winfrey. If you go back on shit she said on her show, clearly that's not a big surprise. And then coming up the back is Prince Philip. Lo and behold, all the no shit proof he was there. Now there is court proof that he was there. He's like, I was never there. It was very disappointing and unbecoming of Jeffrey Epstein to have done these things. Like, you're so full of fucking shit, dude. You did shit. Also, y'all murdered Princess Diana. Ain't no way you fucking did. No, Britain doesn't do bad things. Look at any fucking history. I hope Brad Poole sees this and he knows that I know that the Brits are shit people. So we're going to move forward a few days to January 10th. There are two stories for January 10th. One of them isn't very important. The other one is one of the most important things that has ever been told on this video series. First story is the less important one. A guy in Birmingham shot his way into an old folks' home, didn't kill anybody, but he rolled up in there, guns a-blazing, and then he hid in the roof. And the cops came and got him. And that was that. I have no idea why the hell he did that, but he did. So that was that story. But we got to move on to the second one. This is cataclysmic news for Alabama fans, and this is insane news at the very least for anybody watching this video. On January 10th, Alabama head coach Nick Saban announced his retirement. He is throwing in the towel. He said no more. And he announced that he is not going to be coaching at Alabama anymore. And that is stop the presses. Holy shit. What the fuck are we going to do? And that's that kind of news. So yeah, here we are in the post-Saban era. Of course, it's no secret that Nick Saban didn't need any more money. He's probably one of the richest people in the country now after coaching at Alabama for, 17 years? Something to that effect. It's not something that you want to hear. It's like giving up on a tradition. But really, if you take a step back and look at it, Nick Saban is low-key a more winning coach than Paul Bear Bryant was. Charismatic, not hardly as much as Paul Bear Bryant, but still, Nick Saban is legendary. And I better get me a glass bottle of Nick Saban Coke, because ain't no house, a home, without that Bear Bryant Coke, and that's just what I gotta say. So Nick Saban retired. What are we going to do? On January 11th, Darnell Ferguson, host of some Food Network show, but more importantly to around here, he's the guy who owns Superhero Chef in Tuscumbia. He went to jail. Like, he went to big jail. In Kentucky, he rolled up on some woman's property, and let me read off the list. He did some shit that led to him getting charges for burglary, strangulation, assault, terroristic threatening, menacing, criminal mischief, and theft. Possibly in that order, I don't know. Bro, what did she do? On January 12th, we figured out what we were going to do. Kalen DeBoer was announced to be the next Alabama head coach. He coaches one of the teams that went into the playoffs this year. I can't remember who they were. I'm going to write it down right here of who he coached before here, but he coming to Alabama. My brother has Kingdom Hearts-sized shoes to fill. But not to worry. Nick Saban said he was going to retire, and then he low-key just didn't, because he has an office on campus, and he is going to be helping out with the football program there anyway. So, kind of didn't retire, but he's no longer the head coach of Alabama. So, Kalen DeBoer it'll be. I can't remember who he coached, but I remember they were like literally in the playoffs this year. So clearly Alabama's in decent hands, but we'll see how it goes, because I don't see Alabama turn it into a shit show, but we'll see. On December 13th, the Kansas City Chiefs played the coldest game ever, or at least their coldest game ever. They played football in -2 Fahrenheit weather. Now, if you don't know temperatures, that means it's cold as fucking shit. And nobody ought to be outside in that. But they're out there playing football, and I don't remember what the score of the game was. That's not really that important to me. They rolled up out there and played football, and it was super cold. So that happened. Moving on. On January 15th, Hulk Hogan's back in the news again on the very next No Cap recap. On January 15th, Hulk Hogan saved a girl from a car crash. Apparently, she had freaking overturned her car or something like that. Fucked it up real bad. And him and his wife got out, and he ran over to the car and managed to pull this girl out. He said that he didn't have a knife on him, so he had to use a ballpoint pen to puncture the airbag to get her out of there. Now, it's very much like Hulk Hogan to be full of shit. I think I talked about this last time. He lies a lot. But honestly, this seems pretty verifiable by evidence and police reports and everything. So I guess he actually did it. So, I mean, if that's his first month of being a born-again Christian, not too bad, brother. Also on that day, somewhere in the United States, I actually don't remember where. But what is important is that a dude, my heart's telling me it was in Kansas, but I could be wrong. A dude in one of those Bobcat front-end loaders just went on a rampage and started fucking shit up. He was fucking up cars, and he's fucking up police cars and stuff. Don't know why he did that, but I figure he had him a killdozer moment. So I always like to hear news about that. But yeah, we'll move on to some other news. Also, on that day, the great Alabama blizzard of 24 began. There were weeks leading up to that. They're like, yep, it gonna snow real big. I can only speak for what happened out here in Phil Campbell because I was here. We didn't get a damn lick of snow. Didn't snow one flake. What we did get was like 2 or 3 inches of accumulating sleet. It was just little ice BBs all over the ground, and it was well accumulated. Typically, whenever something like that happens in Alabama, it accumulates out all over the fields and the forests, and the roads stay relatively fine. It did the exact opposite this time. Everything in the woods was relatively fine, but the roads stayed icy for like a damn week. Or say at least 5 days. It was bad. Everything was ground to a halt. Nobody could go to work, and it was really fucking cold. Got down to like 0 one night. It was bad. It was really bad. And I don't think I have it written down, but after like 2 days after the ice had really stopped, it proceeded to rain for like 3 days straight. And now I'm standing out here filming this video on February 2nd. Also, my son turns 8 weeks old today. So, yeah, boy. But out here, feels about maybe 67 degrees. And it's sunny. It's been a really nice day. It's February 1st, so I don't know what the fuck this weather is. But actually, I do. That's Alabama weather. But we'll move on to the next day. On January 16th, a bit of really shitty music news, but a band called Sleep Token, I don't know if you know who they are. Ask your girlfriend, she probably knows who Sleep Token is. They're these group of, I guess these fellows from the UK, I would imagine. They pride themselves, their whole gimmick, their whole shtick is being anonymous. Like, you're not supposed to know who they are. And generally speaking, nobody knew who they were, but they had these masks, and they have kind of an occult air about them. And they write a lot of really horny songs and then a lot of really sad songs. But on January 16th, some fucking psycho they leaked who they were. They leaked the whole band. And to the point where they actually leaked some birth certificates and like home addresses and shit. Don't know why the fuck they did that. So generally speaking, they ruined the whole fun of Sleep Token. Now, my wife loves Sleep Token. I mean, I think they're okay, but not something I go out of my way to listen to. But they're a good band. But we don't know who they are because, frankly, we didn't bother to go look. Because to us, it don't really matter who the hell they are. We're not going to ruin the fun for us. And I figure a lot of people didn't go see who they were. And if you didn't, good. But that person who leaked all their shit is going to face some criminal charges. So that's good. Speaking of joy and whimsy being annihilated from this earth, the next day, January 17th, all of those humorous traffic signs that, telling you to buckle up but doing it in kind of a humorous way, those were outlawed in the United States. Apparently, you're not allowed to use any kind of cleverness on a road sign like that. You have to use very robotic, basic, concise communication. Wear a seatbelt or you are going to be fined. It is dangerous or whatever. Which I think is shit, because there's no whimsy left in the world. It's finally trying to make a comeback, but they're trying to squash it. There's no reason to go do some shit like that. It's just dumb. It's really shitty for them to do. Some states are just defying it. They're saying, no, we're not going to do that. So, fuck you. A little bit of general news for the month. Several billionaires throughout the world, throughout late December and early January, just started building underground bunkers. Most notoriously, Mark Zuckerberg in Hawaii built his very luxurious underground bunker. Mind you, that's like at least 10 billionaires over the course, all at one time. So that begs the question, why the fuck y'all doing that? What's going to happen? What do you know that we don't? What's going on there? You want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about it? Speaking of effective tools for persuasion, we got this month's Trent pulls out a gun from nowhere. And this month we got reliable. This right here is a Revelation Model 350A. What is a Revelation Model 350A? It is something else entirely. What this is, Revelation was a store brand used for an old defunct store called Western Auto. This is a 16 gauge Model 350A, which equates to a Savage Model 94. This one has nothing special about it whatsoever. The bluing has started to become more of a brown color. This is just some kind of baked on paint finish on what appears to be steel, but might be some kind of alloy. And this is just very basic birch wood. This one is a 16 gauge. It features an exposed hammer and an extractor. It points out shells after it's done shooting. And it has been a fantastic shotgun for me. A relative gifted this to me some years ago, and it has been mine ever since. I have killed so much shit with this shotgun. I'll figure I'll pop around off in the sucker. I'll shoot it something. This is just a number 8 birdshot shell from Noble Sport over in Spain, I think. What? There's a small tree. Actually blew it in half. But I'm not here to talk to you about that. I'm here to talk to you about a little cheat code in case you didn't know what it was. The cheat code is as follows. Look at this. What you know about this? It's one of my little shotgun shells, just some cheapo number 8 shot, but why does it look like that? Why is it cut? I'm going to talk to you about the cut slug. See that water bottle over there? I'm fixing to pop it with this. So, what you can do with most shotguns, if your shotgun has a turkey choke or any kind of full choke, don't do this. If you've got, like, modified choke or anything more open than that, cylinder of course is perfectly fine. You can do this number right here. As far as I know, it's relatively safe. People do it all the time. What you do is you hold your shell up to the sunlight and you'll see there's like a part where it's almost hollow. That's where your wad is. What you do is you take a knife, you don't cut very deep, and you cut around it almost all the way, but you leave like a little tab of plastic holding it all together. And in theory, what this will do is when you fire it, instead of the front coming open and all the shot coming out, this will detach and the whole front of the shell will catapult out of the shotgun and fly like a slug. Now, I've done it with 12 gauge. Does great. Never done it with 16 gauge, never done it with this shotgun. Now, of course, I just stated it shoots slugs really low, so I'm going to try to hit it on the first try. I feel like I should tell you not to try this at home. I'm not your dad. So I'm about to turn around here and try to pop this jug full of water with this cut slug out of this old 16 shotgun, and we will see how it goes. So say a little prayer for you, boy. Fire on the hole. And as you can see, it works quite well. It absolutely fucking annihilated that water bottle. But anyhow, that's my old 16 gauge, so always happy to talk about this little darling. But like I said, as far as guns go, this is my old reliable. This is a good old shotgun, and I intend to keep it for fucking ever. On January 18th, while the world was still frozen over, Phil Kimball High School had a pipe burst. And it flooded the whole damn place on the bottom floor, so I think I speak for all of us who graduated from Phil Kimball when I say, Now, it's really unfortunate, but it's not the first time some shit like that has happened. I remember on at least one occasion when I was still going to school there, they had the fire sprinklers go off, and they couldn't turn them off. There wasn't even a fire, but they couldn't turn them off. And it was the same with their big pipe burst they had. They didn't know how to shut the damn water off. They couldn't get it to happen. So it's not the first time water has fucked up Phil Kimball High School because they just didn't know how to operate anything. So, again, it's not funny, but that's pretty damn funny to me. On January 19th, a grand jury finally indicted Alec Baldwin on his negligent murder of them couple women on that set of Rust. Alec Baldwin, I don't really have anything to say about him, but as far as this particular thing goes, he claims that the gun just went off instead of holding himself accountable for his irresponsibility. He said, I don't know, it just kind of did it. And, anybody who knows anything about guns knows that single-action revolvers do not fire unless you cock the hammer and pull the trigger. There was no indeliberate action about it. So Alec Baldwin's just fucking lying, and he won't keep himself accountable for his actions. So hopefully he will face some time for that. On January 22nd, Blue Bell released Cinnamon Swirl Ice Cream, which sounds really good. And I bought it, and it is pretty damn good, especially if you like cinnamon. It's like eating ice cream, Cinnamon Toast Crunch almost. It's got little bits of the little bready stuff that they use in their blackberry cobbler flavor, and God rest its soul, their red velvet flavor, the best one. I had it. It was pretty good. I kind of got over it. Me and my wife both did because, that's a lot of cinnamon. But, it's good. I just wouldn't recommend getting the whole half gallon of it because, man, that's a lot of that ice cream to get through. It's still sitting in the freezer. We're going to eat it. But, man, it's kind of got past the honeymoon phase on it. But it is good. On January 24th, the Doomsday Clock, that one that Iron Maiden wrote 2 minutes to midnight about, we're officially 30 seconds past that point, because now they ticked it down to 90 seconds until midnight. Basically, what midnight means is irreversible global catastrophe. That's due to lots of different things. I know primarily the threat of nuclear war and environmental things being thrown to the wind. A lot of crap like that. And I suppose, since it is a lot of scientists who are doing the Doomsday Clock, I suppose I believe it, but I don't know. It kind of just sounds like y'all trying to scare me into doing better. It sounds like you want me to drink Diet Coke, don't you? I'm not going to drink the Diet Coke. You can't make me drink Diet Coke. No, Trent, the regular one's bad for you. I started drinking water, son. Take her back. We're at 2 minutes again. On January 24th, Alabama carried out the death penalty on a dude who murdered some pastor's wife out in Colbert County back in the 80s, I think. Apparently her pastor husband had her hired to be murdered, and him and another dude came in and just killed the shit out of her. And the other dude faced the death penalty by lethal injection some years prior, but this guy got a new little special method of execution, and it's called nitrogen hypoxia. Basically, they just have nitrogen. They got you on a respirator there, and they just give you nitrogen until you suffocate to death. And there's a lot of controversy in that, if it's humane or not. It's the death penalty. It's the death penalty. You don't get the death penalty by stealing a pack of cigarettes. So, you kind of deserve a little bit of suffering there at the end. People say it's barbaric. I don't care. But supposedly nitrogen hypoxia is supposed to be a very painless way to go. But some people claim that it could be agonizing. And so they did the execution. They took him out. He dead. And they held a press conference afterward, and there was some state official who was standing there talking about it. And there were journalists there doing what journalists do and trying to start shit. And they're like, so We saw that he actually stayed alive for like 7 minutes after y'all started when he was supposed to be gone in 3. What happened? He seemed like he might have been in a bit of pain. And shit you not, the fucking official's like, well, I didn't really see it from where I was sitting, so I don't know what you're talking about. And it's so goddamn funny. Because, like, if it's an agonizing death, good. Again, the death penalty is not something handed out lightly. You did some bad shit, and now you got to pay for it. And you're going to die, so might as well make it hurt a little bit for you. That's my extremism for this video, I think. Oh, also, the dude's name was Eugene Smith, so there's that. On January 26th, Tom MacDonald released a rap song called something. I don't even remember. I don't know who Tom MacDonald is, but I do know who he featured on his song, and that was Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro himself featured on a rap song with Tom MacDonald about getting triggered or being offensive, talking about Karen or something. It was kind of cringe, honestly. But Ben Shapiro, who has gone on record saying that rap isn't real music, said in his verse, he talked about his yarmulke, and then he also said for his followers to download the song and make it a #1 hit, and lo and behold, it was a #1 Billboard hit. Not necessarily because his followers did what he said, but because everybody heard that Ben Shapiro was in a rap song, and they're like, there's no fucking way, and then they had to go check it out. And that's what they saw. So there's that, I suppose. Nicki Minaj, who he called out for some reason, saw it, and she said, not bad. Like, I mean, you making that money, but I don't know. That's just very bizarre things happening this month. On January 27th, a bit of wrestling news. Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar were both yeeted from the WWE. They kind of got the Chris Benoit treatment where they're like, who's that? Those people don't exist. And what happened was some sex trafficking going on. Apparently, Vince McMahon tried to traffic this one girl. Can't remember what her name is, but he tried to traffic her to go do some shit with Brock Lesnar. And you hear a lot of nasty stuff over these texts and stuff. But also, allegedly, apparently Vince McMahon took a shit on this girl at some point. Like, he actually dropped a dookie on her, which is really gross. But, yeah, they both got yeeted for being pieces of shit. So, like, I mean, there's that. No more do-rag Vince. Sorry. I got 3 stories for January 29th. The first one is over in Bessemer, which also I should add is apparently the most dangerous town in America. Heard that somewhere. But a kangaroo got loose on the street. Some guy took a cell phone video of it, and they called the police, and they're like, yo, there's a kangaroo running around out here. And apparently, before the police could even get a hold of it, the guy who owns said kangaroo just kind of grabbed it up and took it back home. So he got his kangaroo back. I learned that there is no laws against owning a dangerous animal of any kind in Alabama, be it big cats or anything like that. There are no restrictive laws on that, so that's kind of insane. Also on that day, McDonald's announced like a Hamburglar Across America tour where it's just special promotions with a Hamburglar, but what's crazy about it is that they announced it with him going to be driving this sweet-ass 1970 Plymouth Barracuda. It's white and black, and it's got some special McDonald's features on it, including a QR code decal on the back that you can scan for some stuff since you found the car. But also, it's got like a hamburger warmer in the console. I don't know what the fuck, but yeah, that's going on. You can't make this shit up, dude. And then the last story for that day, Nick Saban was seen playing golf with 50 Cent and Travis Scott. Because I guess when you're Nick Saban, you can do whatever you want to. So he was playing golf with them. Again, just more you can't make this shit up news. So that's all for January 29th. Let's move on. On January 30th, Sesame Street released a little video on Twitter, and it was Elmo doing a video tweet asking how everyone's doing. Unfortunately, everybody answered truthfully, and Elmo got some horrifying answers. I haven't even seen what they were, but suffice it to say, I'm sure that there were lots of wild things being said to Elmo, and lots of depressing things being said to Elmo. So, they immediately learned to regret that, and I think they took the fucking video down or something like that. It didn't go good. So yeah, I don't know what they thought would happen, because Twitter is not a kid's platform at all. There ain't nothing but grown-ass people on there. A lot of depressed people. And a lot of insane people on there. And, by God, Elmo got his answer. So that's funny. That's pretty damn funny. And then our final story, it almost seems kind of befitting, but on January 31st, 2024, to finish off our January No Cap recap, Silent Hill turned 25, because we sure as shit living in a Silent Hill world, ain't we? We're all in our own special little hell. That's all for this No Cap recap for January 2024. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Oh shit, I forgot another story. Also, on January 31st, Paul Harrell, I'll do a video talking about Paul Harrell. He is a very extremely good gun YouTuber, and he got cancer. He has pancreatic cancer. He's not doing too great. And there was a big call to action among the GunTuber community to get him to 1 million subs, and they fucking did it. He's at 1 million, baby. He did it. Also, throughout, I think, January 23rd to the 27th or something like that, SHOT Show was going on, and SHOT Show is a big time of year for me. There wasn't a whole lot interesting announced, at least in my opinion. Car Arms released a pistol that takes SIG P365 mags. It looks pretty sick. But the big one for me for SHOT Show this year is Colt, or the Colt as we know it today, that's owned by CZ. They started doing the Colt Python again a couple years ago. Well, they released it now. They're making it in blued again. So now we got the new edition of the Colt Python in blued. And so that means it's going to run about $1,500 and it's going to be really pretty. Now I actually want one. I always wanted a Colt Python, but the originals are like $4,000 at this point. So I want my $1,500 blue Colt Python, and I can be happy. But other than that, that's your January No Cap recap. I know Carson is still disappointed in me because I didn't talk about it, but I'll talk about it now. On I can't even remember the date, but in early December, it was like a week before my son was born, we went, me and Carson and Adam and Nick, a couple other folks, went up to Huntsville, and we watched Godzilla -1 at the AMC theater up there. And let me tell you, Godzilla -1 is a damn masterpiece. It is an incredible movie. Even if you're not into Godzilla, even if you're not into watching an all-Japanese movie, quit being a bitch, read your subtitles. That movie is just incredible. That's my dad shooting, by the way. I think he's sighting in his 41 Magnum or something like that. Yes, 41 Magnum is a thing. It's real. But yeah, that's all for your No Cap recap. I'm Trentonius Maximus. I hope you enjoyed yourself this time around. I'll see you next month. That's a big adios from me. I'm going to try to come up with a little song for the little pup dog to dance to. I'll catch y'all on the old flip side. Adios. Bye.